Are you honoring your own timing, or are you letting the world rush you? In a world that demands instant results and rigid schedules, the divine feminine operates on an entirely different rhythm, one of flow, intuition, and natural cycles. But how often do we ignore our own timing to meet external expectations? In this video, we're diving deep into the power of honoring your unique pace, discerning who truly respects your energy, and why trusting your rhythm is the key to unlocking effortless manifestation and empowerment. Stay until the end for a powerful subliminal meditation to help you align with your divine feminine flow. And if you're ready to reclaim your energy, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's step into our power together. Breaking free from societal conditioning. Imagine a river forced into a straight canal, its natural curves and meandering flow restricted, its rhythm dictated by man-made walls. This is what happens when the divine feminine is squeezed into rigid societal structures. The modern world thrives on schedules, deadlines, and routines, especially the infamous 9-to-5 work structure. While this system may work for some, it often clashes with the natural rhythm of those embodying feminine energy. The divine feminine does not move in a straight line. She ebbs and flows like the tide, shifting through cycles of creation, rest, and renewal. Yet, society tells us to be productive at all times, to push through exhaustion, and to measure our worth by how much we accomplish. We are taught that rest is laziness, that stillness is stagnation, and that taking time to reflect is wasting time. But the truth is, the most powerful creations are born from moments of deep stillness. Just as a flower does not bloom in the dead of winter, the divine feminine cannot be forced to move at an unnatural pace. When we deny our natural cycles, we disconnect from our intuition, our creativity, and our true power. This conditioning starts early. From childhood, we are taught to follow structured routines. School bells dictate when we can eat, speak, or even rest. As adults, we are expected to fit into corporate systems that demand consistency and uniformity, ignoring the reality that energy fluctuates. There are days when we feel vibrant and ready to take on the world, and there are days when we need stillness to replenish our spirit. But society rarely accommodates these shifts. Instead, we are pressured to power through, to ignore the whispers of our own bodies and hearts. For those who embody feminine energy, this constant push can feel unnatural, like trying to dance to a rhythm that does not match the beat of our own inner music. Feminine energy is cyclical, much like the phases of the moon. Some days are meant for outward action, and others are for retreat, reflection, and receiving. The seasons themselves reflect this wisdom. Spring brings new beginnings, summer ignites passion, autumn calls for release, and winter demands deep rest. If nature honors these rhythms, why shouldn't we? Breaking free from this conditioning starts with self-awareness. It begins when we recognize the ways we have been shaped to ignore our own timing. It means noticing when we feel guilty for resting, when we apologize for needing space, or when we force ourselves into situations that feel misaligned. It is in these moments that we must ask ourselves, who am I doing this for? Am I pushing myself because I truly want to, or because I have been conditioned to believe that my worth depends on my output? Reclaiming our rhythm requires conscious unlearning. It means allowing ourselves to rest without shame, to trust that productivity is not always about doing, but also about being. It is understanding that slowing down does not mean falling behind. It means moving with purpose, with intention, and with alignment. The divine feminine does not chase. She attracts. She does not force. She allows. When we embrace this truth, we no longer feel guilty for taking our time. We realize that real power comes from honoring our natural cycles, not from racing against time. Recognizing supportive versus controlling energies. Imagine you are a delicate flower, opening petal by petal at your own perfect pace. A gentle gardener patiently waters you, ensuring you have the right sunlight and space to bloom. But another, impatient and forceful, tugs at your petals, trying to make you open before you are ready. This is the difference between a supportive and a controlling, masculine energy. One honors your timing, while the other imposes its own. In relationships, these energies reveal themselves in subtle yet powerful ways, shaping the way we feel, grow, and evolve. Supportive, masculine energy feels like a steady hand on your back, not pushing you forward, but reassuring you that you are safe to take your time. It listens, respects your boundaries, and understands that true connection cannot be rushed. Just as a river carves its way through the land at its own pace, the divine feminine flourishes when given the freedom to move naturally. A supportive presence does not demand immediate answers, instant affection, or rapid transformation. It trusts that what is meant to unfold will do so in divine timing. On the other hand, controlling masculine energy operates from impatience and a need for dominance. It seeks certainty, wanting to shape the divine feminine to fit its own expectations. This energy is like the wind trying to force a butterfly to fly before its wings have fully formed. It appears in relationships, where pressure replaces patience, where guilt is used as a tool to get compliance, and where love feels conditional, given only when expectations are met. Instead of allowing the feminine to move in her natural flow, controlling energy interrupts, rushes, and demands, creating a cycle of stress and imbalance. Manipulation often hides under the guise of care. It may sound like, "I just want what's best for you," or, "If you loved me, you'd do this." But real love does not require urgency or ultimatums. It does not thrive in pressure, but in presence. True support respects when you need space, when your heart isn't ready to move forward, or when your soul requires stillness. A partner, friend, or mentor who genuinely supports you will honor your decisions, even when they do not immediately benefit them. They will hold space for you without trying to shape your journey to fit their own timeline. One of the greatest indicators of a healthy connection is how you feel in someone's presence. Do you feel safe to express yourself without fear of judgment? Do you feel free to take your time? Or do you sense an invisible clock ticking, urging you to move faster? A supportive energy encourages you to expand naturally, like the sunrise spreading across the sky, while a controlling one pressures you like a ticking bomb, demanding immediate action. The difference is not always in words, but in energy. Support feels warm, spacious, and grounding. Control feels tense, heavy, and constraining. Recognizing these energies requires deep self-awareness. It means noticing when you shrink yourself to meet someone's expectations, when you say yes out of fear rather than desire, or when you feel the need to explain yourself for simply following your own rhythm. The divine feminine is not meant to be rushed. She is meant to be understood, cherished, and honored in her own time, and those who truly respect her will never ask her to bloom before she is ready. Trusting intuition, your internal compass. Imagine standing at a crossroads with no map, no signs, and no one to tell you which way to go. But deep within, a quiet voice whispers, guiding you toward the right path, not with logic, but with a knowing that defies explanation. This is intuition, the inner compass that every soul possesses, yet so many ignore in favor of external advice, societal expectations, or fear of the unknown. The divine feminine thrives when she listens to this sacred voice, allowing it to lead her toward choices that align with her highest good. When intuition is honored, life unfolds with a sense of ease, as if the universe itself is clearing the way. But when ignored, the journey feels like wading through mud, filled with resistance, confusion, and unnecessary struggle. Unlike the rational mind, which seeks logic and evidence, intuition speaks in whispers, nudges, and gut feelings. It is the sudden knowing that a situation isn't right, even when there's no visible reason. It is the warmth in your heart when an opportunity feels aligned, or the heaviness in your chest when something is off. Intuition is like the wind, unseen yet undeniable, moving us in the right direction if we are willing to trust it. The problem is, society conditions us to doubt this inner knowing. From a young age, we are taught to rely on logic, to ask for permission, to seek validation before making decisions. Over time, this constant reliance on external input weakens our trust in ourselves, making us second-guess even the most obvious signs. But the divine feminine does not operate through force. She flows. And when she follows her intuition, life moves with her, creating synchronicities, effortless manifestations, and opportunities that feel like they were meant just for her. This is because intuition is directly connected to the energy of the universe. It picks up on signals that the mind cannot comprehend, guiding us toward what is truly meant for us. Just as birds instinctively know when to migrate and flowers bloom at the perfect moment, intuition knows when to act and when to wait. When we honor it, we align with divine timing, stepping into situations that feel like home, relationships that nourish our souls, and opportunities that elevate our purpose. However, fear often disguises itself as intuition, creating confusion. The voice of fear is loud, urgent, and filled with doubt, while true intuition is calm, steady, and reassuring. Fear will say, "What if you fail?" But intuition will gently remind you, "You are ready." Fear will push you into rushed decisions, while intuition will guide you toward the right moment. Learning to tell the difference between the two is a skill, one that requires stillness, patience, and self-trust. The more we listen, the stronger our inner guidance becomes, like a muscle that grows with use. When we ignore intuition, the universe often sends louder signs, small discomforts become bigger problems, and subtle red flags turn into unavoidable lessons. But when we trust it, life opens up in ways we never imagined. Intuition leads us to aligned careers, soulful connections, and the fulfillment of our deepest desires without struggle. It is the reason some people seem to magnetize success while others chase it. They are not luckier. They are simply more attuned to their inner knowing. The law of attraction and energy. Mirroring life is like a vast echo chamber, constantly reflecting back to us the energy we put out. Just as a still lake mirrors the sky above, our inner world shapes the experiences, relationships, and opportunities that come into our lives. This is the essence of the law of attraction. What we radiate, we attract. When the divine feminine honors her timing, trusts her intuition, and moves in alignment with her true energy, she becomes a magnet for relationships and circumstances that match her vibration. But when she ignores her inner rhythm, allowing external pressures to dictate her pace, she finds herself surrounded by energies that feel draining, misaligned, or even controlling. The divine feminine is not just a receiver of energy. She is a mirror. She reflects the masculine energy that approaches her, showing it where it is strong, where it is unhealed, and where it must evolve. Just like the moon pulls the tides, her presence stirs something deep within the masculine. awakening him to his own truths. If she stands in her power, respecting her timing and boundaries, she will naturally call in a masculine that honors her essence. But if she wavers, bending to the demands of impatience or control, she will attract energies that challenge her, forcing her to relearn the lesson of self-worth. This mirroring is why relationships often reveal more about ourselves than we realize. A divine feminine who struggles with self-doubt may find herself surrounded by masculine energies that do not fully value her. If she rushes her journey, ignoring her natural flow, she will attract those who push, demand, and override her needs. But when she steps into her full radiance, unshaken by external pressures, the masculine is either inspired to rise to meet her or naturally repelled if he is not ready. She does not need to chase, convince, or control. She simply is, and that alone shapes the energy around her. Respecting one's timing is like planting a seed in the richest soil and trusting that it will bloom at the perfect moment. A flower does not bloom faster because someone is watching. It opens when it is ready, when the sun is warm enough and the conditions are right. In the same way, the divine feminine attracts what is meant for her when she surrenders to her natural rhythm. The relationships and opportunities that flow effortlessly into her life are those that match her energy, requiring no force or struggle. Conversely, when she ignores this universal law, trying to control outcomes or speed up the process, she disrupts the balance. She may find herself in connections that feel like storms rather than safe harbors, drawn into cycles of push and pull, where neither party is fully aligned. But the moment she releases the need to force and simply be, the energy around her shifts. The masculine that is meant for her will feel it, an invitation, not a demand, to step into his own power and meet her at the level of respect, patience, and depth she embodies. The flower analogy, blooming in your own time. Imagine a flower growing in a quiet meadow. It does not rush to bloom because the world expects it to. It does not force its petals open before they are ready. Instead, it trusts the rhythm of nature, unfurling slowly, taking in the sunlight, stretching toward the sky only when the moment is right. This is the essence of true personal growth, an unfolding that cannot be rushed, forced, or controlled. Like a flower, the divine feminine flourishes when she honors her timing, allowing herself to grow without pressure from external forces. Just as a bud does not apologize for being closed before its time, you are not meant to be fully open to everyone at all times. Your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Too often, society demands that we rush our growth, that we bloom on command, regardless of whether the conditions are right. The pressure to be constantly available, to meet expectations, to prove ourselves can feel like a scorching sun that withers delicate petals before they have had a chance to open fully. But true blossoming cannot be dictated by urgency. Just as each flower has its own season, each soul has its own divine timing. Some flowers bloom in the spring, vibrant and full of life, while others take until late summer to show their beauty. Neither is wrong. Each follows its own perfect rhythm. You too are meant to trust the pace of your own unfolding. But blooming is not just about timing. It is also about protection. A flower does not open for every passing shadow. It does not expose its delicate petals to storms that would tear it apart. Likewise, you must be discerning about who you allow into your energy. Not everyone who admires a flower deserves to pick it. Some will appreciate its beauty from afar, respecting its presence, while others may try to take it for themselves, unaware that uprooting it will only cause it to wither. This is why selective vulnerability is so important. Being open-hearted does not mean being open to everyone. True strength lies in knowing when to share your light and when to protect it. When you embrace this wisdom, you stop feeling guilty for setting boundaries. You no longer force yourself to be available to those who do not nurture your growth. You recognize that just as a flower needs the right soil, sunlight, and water to thrive, you need the right environment, relationships, and energies to flourish. The people meant for you will not demand that you bloom faster than you are ready. They will not try to pluck your petals before their time. Instead, they will honor your journey, understanding that beauty unfolds naturally when given patience, care, and respect. On the other hand, those who do not respect your timing will grow frustrated. They may try to manipulate you into opening up too soon, or make you feel unworthy for not meeting their expectations. But just as a flower does not change its blooming cycle for anyone, you are not meant to shrink or stretch yourself to fit someone else's timeline. When you trust in your own pace, you naturally align with those who appreciate your energy without trying to control it. This is the power of blooming in your own time. It is a reminder that your growth is sacred, your energy is precious, and your vulnerability is not for everyone. You are not meant to be accessible to every hand that reaches for you. Instead, you are meant to blossom in the presence of those who nurture, respect, and uplift you. Just as a flower turns toward the sun, you are meant to turn toward what truly nourishes your soul, knowing that when the time is right, you will bloom beautifully, exactly as you were always meant to. Healing and growth in relationships. A relationship, at its core, is like a sacred dance between two energies, divine masculine and divine feminine, each bringing its own rhythm, strengths, and vulnerabilities. When both partners move in harmony, respecting the pace and presence of the other, they create something beautiful, like a river that flows effortlessly between two banks. But when one tries to lead without listening, pushing or pulling against the natural flow, the dance becomes chaotic, and the connection begins to strain. True healing and growth in relationships happen when there is mutual respect, a deep honoring of each other's timing, needs, and unique way of expressing love. Without this respect, relationships become battlegrounds of control rather than sanctuaries of connection. For the divine feminine, healing often begins when she recognizes her worth and refuses to rush her unfolding to meet external demands. Just as a tree does not force itself to grow faster because another wishes it to, she learns that her pace is sacred. A balanced masculine will understand this. He will not pressure, manipulate, or try to reshape her energy to fit his desires. Instead, he will provide a space where she feels safe to bloom. His presence, like the sturdy roots of a tree, offers stability, not suffocation. He does not demand that she open up before she is ready. He waits, he listens, he honors. In return, she reflects his own depth back to him, allowing him to see himself with greater clarity. This mirroring is one of the most powerful aspects of divine connection. A healthy masculine presence does not see the feminine's intuition and fluidity as something to control, but as something to learn from. Just as the ocean shapes the shore over time, her energy invites him into greater self-awareness and emotional depth. Conversely, his grounded presence offers her the reassurance that she is safe to trust, to open, to soften. Together, they create a cycle of healing where each person's strengths nurture the other's growth. However, when this balance is missing, relationships can become sources of pain rather than healing. A masculine energy that seeks to dominate rather than support will stifle the feminine's natural rhythm, causing her to shrink instead of flourish. Likewise, a feminine energy that does not trust her own worth may settle for relationships that deplete rather than nourish her. Healing begins when both recognize these patterns and choose to shift them. The masculine learns that true strength is not in control, but in presence. The feminine realizes that she does not need to dim her light to keep the peace. When both energies align in mutual respect, their connection becomes a source of transformation rather than turmoil. Balanced relationships are like well-tended gardens. They require patience, care, and an understanding that growth takes time. The healthiest connections are not rushed. They are built on a foundation of trust, where both individuals feel seen, valued, and honored for who they truly are. When the divine feminine stands firm in her worth, she calls in a masculine energy that meets her there. When the masculine learns to honor the feminine's flow, he discovers a deeper strength within himself, one that does not need to force, but simply is. Together, they create a space where love is not about possession or power, but about mutual elevation. Subliminals as a tool for reprogramming. The mind is like a garden, and the thoughts we plant within it shape the reality we experience. Just as a seed buried beneath the soil quietly takes root before sprouting into the world, our subconscious beliefs determine what we attract, often without us even realizing it. If limiting beliefs, like self-doubt, fear of rejection, or the need for external validation have been planted over time, they will continue to grow, influencing our choices, relationships, and even the energy we radiate. This is where subliminals come in, acting as gentle yet powerful whispers to the subconscious, uprooting the weeds of old programming and replacing them with empowering, nourishing beliefs. Like sunlight breaking through the clouds after a long storm, subliminals illuminate hidden mental patterns and guide the mind toward a higher frequency of self-love, confidence, and magnetic attraction. The magnetic feminine energy subliminal meditation is designed to do exactly this. It speaks directly to the deeper layers of the mind, reinforcing the natural power and radiance of the divine feminine. Subliminals work by bypassing the critical, analytical mind, which often resists change, and instead planting affirmations and positive suggestions directly into the subconscious. The process is effortless. You do not need to struggle to force new beliefs into place. Instead, as you listen, your mind absorbs these messages like a river slowly reshaping the land through its steady flow. Over time, these affirmations take root, subtly shifting the way you perceive yourself and the energy you put out into the world. One of the greatest gifts of subliminals is their ability to dissolve old conditioning without resistance. Often, when people try to change their mindset through conscious effort alone, they encounter internal pushback. Doubt creeps in, or past wounds resurface. But subliminals bypass this struggle. Imagine trying to train a wild horse by pulling on its reins. It will resist, fight, and refuse to be tamed. But if you gradually lead it with patience, allowing it to trust the process, it will naturally follow. The subconscious mind is the same. Instead of wrestling with old fears and deeply ingrained insecurities, subliminals gently guide the mind to embrace new, empowering beliefs with ease. This transformation extends far beyond thought patterns. It directly influences what we attract. The law of attraction states that like energy draws like energy. If you carry unhealed beliefs of unworthiness or scarcity, you will unconsciously align with people and situations that reinforce them. But when you rewire your subconscious with messages of self-worth, divine radiance, and effortless magnetism, your external world begins to reflect this new inner state. The shift is not always immediate, but it is inevitable. Like a flower slowly turning toward the sun, your reality starts bending toward the energy you have cultivated within. Subliminals also help in enhancing manifestation power, making desires materialize with greater ease. The subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of our actions, behaviors, and emotional responses. When it is programmed with clarity, belief, and certainty, manifestation happens naturally, without struggle or over-efforting. It is like tuning a radio to the right frequency. Once the signal is clear, the music plays effortlessly. Instead of forcing things to happen, you simply align with the energy of already having them, and the universe responds accordingly. By integrating subliminals into daily life, the divine feminine learns to trust in her natural power, radiate confidence, and attract aligned opportunities and relationships. This is not about changing who she is, but about removing the layers of doubt that have obscured her brilliance. The more she listens, the more her energy shifts, until one day she wakes up feeling different. Not because something external has changed, but because she has. She walks with more grace, speaks with more certainty, and moves through the world with an effortless magnetism that draws in exactly what is meant for her. And the best part? She did not have to force a thing. She simply reprogrammed her mind to remember the power she always had. Commitment to self-respect and empowerment. True empowerment begins with a simple yet profound commitment, honoring yourself above all external pressures. Just as a lighthouse stands unwavering against crashing waves, shining its light regardless of the storms around it, self-respect means staying true to your inner knowing, even when the world tries to dictate otherwise. It is about recognizing that your energy is sacred, your timing is divine, and your boundaries are not walls of isolation, but gates of discernment, deciding who and what is worthy of your space. Many people, especially those embodying divine feminine energy, have been conditioned to believe that accommodating others is a virtue, that bending to the demands of masculine energy, whether in relationships, work, or society, is a sign of love or compromise. But true love, true balance, cannot exist without self-respect. Without it, relationships become cages instead of sanctuaries, and giving becomes a burden rather than an expression of abundance. Reflecting on interactions with masculine energies is a crucial step in reclaiming self-empowerment. Not all masculine energy is supportive. Some will honor your timing, while others will try to rush, control, or manipulate. The difference between the two is as clear as the difference between sunlight that nourishes and wildfire that consumes. A balanced masculine presence will encourage your growth without demanding it happen on his terms. He will wait for your petals to unfold naturally rather than trying to pry them open. On the other hand, an unhealed masculine energy will push, coax, or guilt you into moving faster than you are ready, mistaking urgency for passion and pressure for love. Recognizing this difference is an act of self-awareness, but choosing to walk away from energies that do not honor your pace is an act of self-respect. This is where setting boundaries becomes essential, not as an act of resistance, but as an affirmation of your worth. Boundaries are not about keeping love out. They are about creating the conditions where love can truly thrive. Think of them like the roots of a tree, deep, strong, and firm, allowing you to stand tall without being uprooted by external forces. When you set a boundary, you are not rejecting others, you are simply choosing to honor yourself first. If someone truly values you, they will respect the space you need, just as a gardener understands that forcing a bud to bloom prematurely will only damage it. Those who push against your boundaries reveal themselves not as partners in growth, but as forces of imbalance. And when you stand firm, something incredible happens. The energies that do not align with your self-worth naturally fall away, making space for those who do. This is where staying true to your personal timing becomes an act of empowerment. Society thrives on urgency. Fast decisions, instant results, a constant push for more. But the divine feminine moves in cycles, not straight lines. She ebbs and flows, creating from a place of inner alignment rather than external expectation. Trusting your timing means refusing to be rushed into relationships, commitments, or life choices that do not feel right in your soul. It means honoring the pauses as much as the progress, knowing that every season serves a purpose. Just as the moon waxes and wanes without apology, you too have the right to move at your own rhythm, without guilt, without explanation. Conclusion. Embodying the divine feminine flow. Stepping into the flow of the divine feminine is like surrendering to the rhythm of the ocean, trusting that the waves will carry you exactly where you need to be, without force, without resistance. Throughout this journey, we have uncovered the profound wisdom in honoring your own timing, setting boundaries that protect your energy, and recognizing the difference between masculine energies that support versus those that seek to control. We have explored the power of intuition as an internal compass, guiding you toward effortless manifestation, and seen how the law of attraction responds to the energy you cultivate within. Just like a flower blooming in its own time, you are not meant to rush your growth or seek validation outside of yourself. Your journey is sacred, and it unfolds in perfect alignment with your soul's rhythm. At the heart of this message is one simple but life-changing truth. You are enough, exactly as you are. The world may try to convince you that you need to move faster, do more, or be someone else to be worthy of love, success, and fulfillment. But the divine feminine knows that true power comes not from chasing, but from allowing. She trusts herself. She honors her energy. She moves with grace and confidence, knowing that everything meant for her will arrive at the perfect time. This is not passive waiting. It is active alignment. It is standing firm in your truth, just as the moon never rushes to complete its cycle, yet influences everything around it simply by being. When you commit to this flow, life begins to shift in miraculous ways. You attract relationships that respect your boundaries instead of testing them. You manifest opportunities that align with your highest good, rather than settling for what feels convenient. You stop feeling drained by external pressures and instead feel energized by your own self-trust. The key is to release the need to control outcomes and instead become the embodiment of the energy you wish to attract. If you desire peace, be peace. If you seek love, become love. If you long for freedom, trust in your own ability to create it. The divine feminine does not force. She magnetizes. This journey is an invitation to embrace your natural rhythms, to trust your instincts, and to stand in your personal power with unwavering certainty. Like a river flowing effortlessly toward the sea, your path will reveal itself when you stop resisting and start surrendering to the wisdom within. The more you listen to your own intuition, the more effortless life becomes. The more you honor your timing, the more aligned your manifestations will be. The more you trust yourself, the less validation you will seek from others. This is your moment to step into the fullness of who you are, to embody the divine feminine in all her grace, power, and radiance. So, take a deep breath and let go of the need to rush. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Your energy is sacred, your timing is divine, and your path is unfolding beautifully. Now, walk forward with confidence, knowing that by simply being your authentic self, you are already creating the life you were always meant to live.